Hey everyone, Correct Genes here, and today I have a VSR 2-row 9-pin lock. Now, this lock I have a little history with this kind of lock. I have, over the past 6 to 8 months or so, consistently failed to pick not one, but 3 separate VSR locks over and over and over again. And these things have caused me no end of frustration. And in the end, after I finally got one open and looked at what was inside, it turned out to be a little bit frustrating to figure out why it took so long to get one of these open. So hopefully I can save a few of you from some frustration once we get this open, and sort of get at why it misleads a lot of people into taking a little longer than otherwise necessary to get the lock open. So without further ado, let's get it viced up and picked and go over why this lock is such an enigma. Alright, here we go. Counterclockwise tension, this only opens one way. We're going to start on the left here. Nothing on 1, 2 or 3, 4. Click at a 4, tiny click at a 3, click at a 2. Okay, let's check the right. And click at a 1. Click at a 2. Another little click at it. I think that was 2. Alright, nothing on the left. Back on the right. Click at a 5. Yeah, I don't think we slipped off of them. Alright, hit 1 and now we are in a false set. Sorry, we're wobbling a little bit, my bad. But we're going to keep going because this is just where this lock gets started. So now we're going to go through again and we're going to try to get even more clicks, and there's going to be a lot of them. So nothing on the right side. Click on 3 on the left. Click on 4. I'm going to increase tension because these like to act a little bit like tapered pins. Okay, so I've got tiny clicks on all of these. Okay, let's go to the right. Tiny click on 3. Okay, I'm not getting anything else. Oh wait. Okay, got a little something off of 5, I think. Okay, click on 2, got a little rotation. Click on 1, nice piece of rotation there. Another click on 1, and the lock is open. Alrighty. So let's back up a little bit here. Sorry. And get this guy gutted. Zoom out. Alright, so word of warning, this might take me a little while to get. So I might fast forward if it's too long, but hopefully that's not the case. So the lock is picked. So we're going to lock it back up. I don't have a key for this, but you don't need one. Because I have gone ahead and Dremeled this lock so that it is gettable without a key, because I did not have a follower that would be able to open this anyway. So what I've done, is zoom in a little bit. You can see this little hole here. This outer shell used to be crimped on. I have removed the crimped portion and now it slides right off. And so I'm going to very carefully go through and slide this out of the way and take the pins out without losing a spring, ideally. Okay, and all right, here we go. Process is getting started. I'm just going to put the springs over here. And then I just need to be careful that I don't lose track of the other side. I don't remember which side this is, so I'm just going to kind of dump it. Alrighty. And then of course we'll go over, once the pins are out, why this lock is so frustrating for so many pickers. And hopefully we can help out some other people who have been having issues with this lock, because this lock, man, this lock was my nemesis for such a long time. They like to get stuck. Okay, that guy is getting uncovered. There we go. And there we go. Now we're going to grab this pin from the other side. And then this process will repeat 6 more times. Get comfy. Oh, that could have been bad. I have gotten very close on multiple occasions to losing these springs. They are a real annoyance. Come on. We're almost there. Bear with me, guys. No, that side is done. So it is, of course, a 9-pin lock. So 9 happens to be an odd number. Fun fact. Kind of content I know you guys are here for. Okay, there we go. That is all the pins. So let's talk a little bit about what exactly is going on in this lock, which can cause a problem for pretty much all levels of pickers. Let's get a little extra light on here. There we go. Okay, so this is, of course, sort of the high pin count format where you have pins coming from multiple directions. And so in order for those pins to hold themselves inside of the lock without falling in, they are, by necessity, T-pins. They look like that. And so they're wider at the top, so they stop themselves. And of course, that means that if you overset something, you get a false set. Also, for the longer ones in this case, they also have this little ridge here, so that they are a little easier to overset. So in general, oversetting tends to be a pretty big problem in locks like this because feeling pins coming from multiple directions is difficult. It's hard to get enough feedback to accurately not overset them. So understanding how to figure out when a pin is overset is pretty important in locks like this. So generally speaking, there are two types of locks which fall into this category of these high pin count locks that you'll usually run into. You have things like your Kabas. This is a Kaba star. This one's five directions of pins. They're generally all standards. You've got your Kaba 20, which is same thing, 4 directions, doesn't have pins on the top. Of course, your Sergeant Kesso is going to have 3 directions, kind of like the other version of the VSR. Now these locks are known because, I brought these up specifically because these are locks which tend to have only standard pins on the top, Kesso being an exception in some cases. And what that means is that because you have these T-pin key pins, when you get a false set, it means you messed up. It means that you've overset something and it's time to start over. So generally speaking, when you start picking at a high pin count lock like this, and you get a false set, you just stop and reset. Of course, there's also a tendency to kind of keep going a little bit just in case, but you normally don't go that far, unless you start getting very obvious counter rotation. And there are a number of cases in which you have high pin count locks which give you counter rotation because they have mushroom pins or spool pins in them, like the Showa NX. It's full of spools. The Alpha FB is full of spools as well. Same thing with the Gold 12 pin, West 12 pin, as well as the Gold V18. These are all full of spools, Gold is full of mushrooms. And so usually, if you have experience struggling with this sort of lock, your thought is, if I get a false set, I either messed up, or if I start getting obvious counter rotation, it means you're good to go. That is not the case here. What happens here is you will get a false set, and the false set can mean one of two things. It can mean you messed up and you overset a key pin. However, a false set is also required to open the lock because all of the driver pins are T-pins. Now this means that what will happen is you'll get into a false set and you won't get any counter rotation, because of course they're T-pins, they just sort of click into place, every single one of them. Now these key pins in particular only have the one step. In a lot of cases, like in Kaba, they will have multiple steps. So if you overset something and you get in a false set and you keep pressing things, you can often get more than one click out of them. So if you're picking at this lock and you have experience going at things like Kabas and you don't know what is in here, you don't know that there are driver T-pins, what you'll do is you'll get into a false set and you'll click around at things for a little while, and you'll think, okay, I overset something, you reset and try again. And you'll do that for months and months and months and months, and you'll never open the lock. And that is exactly what happened to me. I worked at this for months and months, and I never opened the lock because when I kept going back and clicking pins over and over again, I thought, okay, it's overset T-pin, I'm just going to go ahead and reset. So this lock just is sort of in this weird space where it messes with a bunch of people's heads and can cause problems both at the end of newer pickers who tend to be a little bit more prone to oversetting things, and then you have more experienced pickers who are, trying to go off of things that they've learned from other locks and just are messing themselves up and not finishing the pick because they think that they've screwed up. So I hope that this sort of delving into what's inside of the VSR. Another thing I'll mention is you'll notice that like while I picked it, there were a bunch of pins that clicked way more than once after getting the false set, and I think there's multiple levels inside the plug that they can click into. And if you don't use heavy tension, these tend to act a little bit like tapered pins. They get a little kinked in there, and it means that like they kind of act like they have a wedge shape on them. So you'll move one up a little bit, and the next one will bind, and you'll move that one up a little bit, and you have to keep sort of inching them forward. So you kind of got that going on as well. So if you don't spend the time just clicking things over and over again, you just won't get the lock open. So hopefully this helps some people get their VSRs open. I know of a few people who have them sitting around and have been having problems with them for a while, and I honestly never would have had any chance of getting into this if I hadn't dremeled away the crimped part and just gutted it. So yeah, that's all for this. Hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.